Ajita Tedicinigan, and also the Hapo, the Kachimbo Shuji, Chile, Candina, Jason Rangana. And Manaso Musa Tobo, the Manaso lawyer had lived there, Chuchini Lom, Yaralhedong and Jiguni Samotana, choose a data, Namichu and Nare, and Yishichu and Nare, Handu and Nare, Kare and Nare, choose a data, Monetani, which you, Marona, Maransu Yichisa, which you, Buddha, the God, the Jew. Tendici ke pa shinlam no mus ma so tandang xia na yin man na yin ji zhen yo ji tandang khao re gang ji gang da na chu nyam len jing an chang ma lo ge ani chu li chang ma lo ma so man da chu li chang ma lo ge jing rang de da ge ki wa da ani nyam len ba great the master da so ba sam ye de la ma so ta ge na khora su ji shi ji de yar je da ne nyang ji nyam len ji xian ban nyam len ji ani yan ban Niki Likatindi Lini, I can't get on the Dig Tony, Deda Chua in Badam, Deda Mozambo in Badam, Deda Me Zambulana, me Garden Chimbo in Bago, Shiji, Tandamas with David in Hong the Matoni, Yan Chuaji, Musargi Koranji, Captain Rala, Shinlam Roji, Yini, Ane Suzuki, Dinner Samalo, Yendraji, Mayamati, Sawashidari, or that the names are somewhat the Nijing was Tamboniki, the Niji carry Tony, that Manasu Chulu Samalu, and Kili Adam, Samalu, Nyamdu, and Kitavagata, Nyamlendi, and Yalan Siamu Hiba, and Dana Yana Shamsi Jigua, and Yana Nyanji Gungua, or that the Gaduina Susan Soinana, Yokingawa Nini. The town of Long Tony, so at the Ui Tony, Ani, Nimashik Shala Jikena, Tandan and the Shamatawi, Rantibadan, Yantibaleti, Yonaji, Mosatobore.
So, what he mentioned before, Geshe said he feels it's important, to have that kind of all understanding. And especially those who are engaged in practice, spiritual practice, whether that individual may be a Buddhist practitioner or practitioners of Christians or Hinduism. When we look at the practitioners and when we look at the founding teachers or the great masters of our faith, what we see is that they become famous, they become founder or great teacher because in their entire life, and what we see is the practice of all the positive qualities, practice of compassion, the practice of loving kindness, and these are the practices that makes those great masters truly a great masters, and we can see this in their kind of spiritual books, guidance, advices. So it's hardly kind of to see, one spiritual master kind of, immediately kind of healing, individual, and that keeps on going and going. The most important here, what we see is basically developing a human, kind of goodness, through kind of engaging regular practices. And so, for every faith, and practitioners, what that we can do, as a common thing is really kind of engaging ourselves in a very fundamental practice, such as non-harming and love and compassion. These are the very basic common thing that we can very much put into practice, say when we get up in the morning, generate a thought and make some commitment how we are going to spend our entire day. And so if if we kind of do this on a daily basis, definitely it will make our life much better and practice much more effective.
Ajita tene inza dat zo ha koi thone ani nama sanji chu da ji na ani sanji khorang ge song ya na yin ji ngama da ngi de ma gi da chang so ma cha na sa ro inza rang ga ma ri ma do sanji khorang ge ndo ga na la thumnam de kha chi man thai yang ge do do yi de nga shak ge ma se la ale chi chi ko de ndu de do yi de nga shak ge ma se la se Sujiyore, that is Dunjachimbushidari. Gariziganga, Samalo, Chudi Samalo, Chi Songa, Sozuri Yonzinari, and the monitoring Tibetambaja, Tigain, Kugi Balasinki, Shenlerkin, Tandan Pantoyore, Gabachesia, Aniki Pandoda Yore, Sanji Jumdan, the Sonja, he dinger, the Nanga dinger, so a Nanga dinger, Hubbard, any negative emotion to so. Docha Yedam Contos Agridozo, and it you the magic Shagabash, and the Gonza, Sumatida, and Shinlakia, Sam Jiki, Sumatida, Dinger, Tasta, and the Tata Mares. Dinger Tayala, Sosu, and Lamji, Rumba, Yams Lani, and Lam Yamlinchi, Tony, Gumjabi, Tony, and Dinger de Suzuki, Dinger Seguaji, Swana Yinjini, and the Lamji Rumba de Yanki, Masona Yamlinte, Jan Ramboji. Ani Taramboji la Samudon Tone, Anitana Mundo de Tana was a Shagada, Mama Sanji Mundo Zeti, Denichi in Yoimbari. Other the names of Mundo de la was told on Buchans with Shiguagila, Mundo Lamji Rambadon, Mundo Choki Rambazi, Nishigori.
So now, for this particular session, for those who are interested in Buddhism, as many of you have heard this before, in Buddha's own teaching, he talks about, purifications of our own, you can say, sinful activity or non-virtuous states. He mentioned that, Buddhas cannot wash away your sin, and nor he can pick up, your sinful activities. There's a word, so we will focus on one thing, purification. Although it is quite common that we find in many different faiths, such as blessings, purifications, rituals, ceremonies, they are beneficial for purifications of obstacles, maybe healing. But ultimately, the point here Buddha is saying is that in order to purify our inner, our inner kind of say obscurations or obstacles, Buddha is saying that that is not his responsibility. He cannot pick up your mental problem and then separate it from your mind. What he is saying here is that depends on your own on your own behavior and practice. So to purify your destructive emotions or thoughts or whatever that may be, you need to follow the path that leads to the purification, and you need to make that happen through your own effort, and not expecting or waiting from somebody else. And this process, it requires, as mentioned before, time. It's a gradual process. So having all those understanding, then coming sort of back to the preliminary or preparations. So in Buddhism, we talk about, for the preliminary practices, we talk about kind of categorized into two. The first one being preliminary path, in related with the path. And then second is preliminary practices in related to kind of ritual practices.
Other than that, Mundo she Mundo Lamjiramba, Mundo Chogirambas, and Mundo Chogirambas, so the Ani Sosa Chipteri, Sosa the Giasaya, Gesasa de la Daki, Mazona Pelana, Tambo de Ani Mundo Chogiramba de la Denche Gore, Tambo Shansaya, Chuba Shamia, Ani Shamban Choja, Ani Shavakia, Ani Gisayero, Ani Chungur Kura, Shamsan, or that did Dumbody, Ninchoma Tangent, or did Dumbo la Ani Mundo Chogiramba the Gore, Mundo Chogiramba, the Dachigua, the so the Muyendo de Kanzarani, so sani. That lam Jima and the Yara Lam Mus Yamsel and Digana, Toham Mamboji de la Chigua and that, and the shed Nyaji Chimbozeando, Shanjoji Simzeando, Anitana Jinju, Number Sanji, Tawa to be Shirabzeando, the Negaji Lam to Chimbo, 아니 태버가 장장절라 아니 중국어 연자 강사랑이 당부 총로 사네 당부지 회장의 샤자라 샤야게나니 링아 예스임지 기업지에다 샤자도 샤당 기업지에 기업지에 무슨 시지 대양수수 남바 상지야지 메찬네 아니 상지당 추당 겐던세의教育system들라 샤암사 링아 예스임 리가 아니 부 기업지네 마수 샤암사 포스데 거제 포스테이션 라운드 디지지 아니 응아기 상지당 상지심바 대다고 또발라서가 본반도야 아니 예지 다나 연대다가 용단 잠비 아니 삼무다야 어디네가 돈이 링어 예스임지 샹사야 돼 담보지.
So the two, preliminary practice or two categories. The first one being path, or you can say stages of the path, and then second, stages of you can say ritual practice. So the ritual practice, this is mostly the purpose here is mostly what we call to accumulate merits, positive merits, or you can say to accumulate the roots of positive deeds. Under that commonly comes what we call 7 limb practices or 7 branch practices. Probably familiar with those who are coming to regular teachings, and beginning with the commonly translated as prostrations or offering, and then third one is purification or confession, and then appreciation, and then requesting to turn give the teachings, and requesting to stay forever, like for enlightened beings, and then 7-1 being dedication. These are 7 limb practices that usually practitioners follows, and these are actually, as mentioned before, being a preliminary or preparation. Later, when the practitioner engage into more kind of serious practice, such as the actual development of compassion, loving kindness, altruism, emptiness. These are all kind of great practice. But in order to engage into those, the understanding here is that we need to be prepared in such a way that we have sort of sufficient foundation. So we try to accumulate positive merits or positive virtuous deeds. Again, when we go through this 7 list, for example, the first one usually translated as a prostration, but prostration is actually one of it. When you look at the prostration, it can again, it's kind of showing a respect, categorized into physical, verbal, and mental. The physical would be actual prostration, that we do physical, kind of bowing or, and then verbal, prostration here could be recitation or chanting, or and then mental prostration would be, reflecting or contemplating, the positive qualities of the, enlightened beings or spiritual practice, and then appreciating. So this could be again kind of classified into 3 different